Hi everyone, I'm Aurora from Taipei Tech, and I'm very glad to welcome all of you to the City Science Summit 2021, co-hosted with Taipei Tech and MIT City Science. In the summit, we will discuss issues covering from urban science, computer science to social science and more. So we encourage all the participants to seize the chance to connect and collaborate with fellow attendees. Yeah, and this workshop is hosted by CSL at Shanghai, and they will focus around their topic, sustainable cities within decentralization. So I'd like to pass the mic to Liu Yang now. And hi, Liu Yang.
Hi, I will give the introduction. Thank you,
Oh,
Tanya. Yeah, I'd like to first share my screen. So can anyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Sustainable City with Decentralization workshop. This workshop is organized by the City Science Group at MIT's Media Lab and the City Science Lab at Tongji University in Shanghai. First, I would like to invite the research scientist and the lab manager, Dr. Liu, to introduce the Shanghai lab and the team. Dr. Liu, please.
Thank you, Lin Yue. Hi, everyone. I'm Liu Yang. You can call me Liang. City Science Shanghai Lab, led by Professor Lou Yongqi, is jointly established by Tongji University, Shanghai International College of Design and Innovation, and MIT Media Lab. So Shanghai Lab focuses on future sustainable lifestyles and industry transformation, aiming at key areas such as China's goal of carbon neutrality, zero carbon cities, urban transportation, and community building. We work closely with the industry and capital to jointly promote the acceleration of innovation, research, development, and incubation. So our lab is currently conducting research with the Media Lab City Science Group based on innovative projects like NICE 2035 to jointly explore the future urban travel modes and sustainable community lifestyle and support design, technology, industrial innovation through large-scale data analysis, urban modeling and simulation, and transformation. Thank you. Thank you for joining our workshop. 林月.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liu, the amazing leader of our Shanghai lab. This workshop is divided into three parts. The first part is an introduction presentation. I will give the context and some key ideas that are related to the theme of the workshop. In the second part, all of us will be divided into breakout rooms. We have designed a game for everyone to better understand the topic of the workshop. And one of our organizers, Chen Liang, will talk about how to play the game at the beginning of this part. A reminder here is that we will use Google Sheets for the game, so make sure you are capable of working on Google Sheets now. After finishing the game, all of us will go back to the main session and we will have a summary of your feedback to the game. In the next part, there will be a guided breakout room discussion that will help you to explore more potential under the workshop topic. One of our organizers, Ji Wen, will give a guide to the discussion. At the final part, all of us will go back to the main session and we hope to have one volunteer for each room to report your discussion and your findings. That's all about the agenda. I hope everyone will enjoy this workshop. Okay, let's start with the introduction part. First, sustainability. I believe everyone here couldn't be more familiar with this word because sustainability has become one of the most important topics in our human society. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development proposed by the UN gives us a blueprint for 17 Sustainable Development Goals. If you look into the narratives of these goals, it is not hard to find that there's an emphasis on the reduction in greenhouse gas emission because it is the key to curb climate change and promote sustainable development in communities and cities. International society has gone through a long way to respond to climate change and reduce greenhouse gas emission. The most significant one is the Paris Agreement adopted in 2015 that sets a long-term temperature goal for the international communities. Countries around the world have set up their climate policy to reduce carbon emission. For example, as world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, China committed to achieve carbon emission peak in 2030 and carbon neutrality in 2060. This is a really ambitious goal. Although the goal of reducing carbon emissions seems promising, the reality is that reducing carbon emission is not that easy. Even though a lot of efforts has been put into it, global warming continues to threaten the world. People have started to realize that it is not enough to solely rely on technical solutions. Reduction in carbon emission also greatly relies on how humankind organize our activities. This has been well confirmed in 2020 during the pandemic. The figure on this slide shows that in March 2020, when cities started to lock down and people started to work from home due to the COVID, the daily CO2 emissions started to be significantly less than the same time of the previous year. What you can see in January and February, the difference are not that evident. However, changing behaviors always come with some unpleasant cost. Just like the pandemic, no one wants to go back to the lockdown stage, right? So the question is, how can we promote change? The answer we propose here is by incentive policy, which means to motivate the behavior of people by using reward strategies. Incentive policy is not new in the field of regulating carbon emission. One widely used incentive policy is called cap and trade. The cap is set by the government and will be split into allowances. Each company will have their own allowances to emit emission. The trade part is a market for companies to buy and sell allowances. Companies that cut their pollution faster can sell allowances to companies that pollute more. So cap and trade gives company a strong incentive to save money by cutting emissions in the most cost-effective ways. This policy also lies at the heart of many carbon trading markets in the world. If we look into the cap and trade policy, we could find that it is designed for industries and companies, and it is designed through a top-down centralization. What is going to be like if this logic is applied to individuals? Let's imagine that. First, the government will set a carbon emission cap for the whole city. Then the cap will be split into allowances and allocated to every neighborhood, then to every resident. If your carbon emission is under the allowances, you will get a reward. Otherwise, you have to pay more tax. Will you get encouraged by this kind of policy? Some people's answer may probably depend on the reward. However, the standard of reward is different for different people, and this kind of individual dynamics also exists in many other details of the policymaking process. Therefore, to better deal with the dynamics and to incentivize more motivation for pro-sustainability behaviors, we need to hear more voices and involve every stakeholders in the decision-making process. Then the question is, how could we do that? Our answer is by decentralization. What is decentralization? Decentralization is often used as a response to the problem of a centralized system, where the decision-making is made by a central authoritative group. While in decentralized system, there is no single centralized authority that makes decisions on behalf of all the parties. It involves the least centralized entities that are capable of addressing an issue effectively into the decision-making process. The word decentralization is initially used in the field of political governance. The famous French philosopher Tocqueville mentioned the decentralization increased the motivation for citizens to take interest in public affairs. This reveals one of the core reasons that we think decentralization matters. Though the power of decentralization has long been recognized, it is still hard to build trust in a decentralized system because people are used to trusting a centralized authority. Luckily, the emergence of blockchain helps to solve this problem. Blockchain was first introduced by two researchers in 1991. It is a relatively complicated technology, but today we can try to understand it by abstracting the most important parts. What is a blockchain? A blockchain is a specific type of database. It is time-stamped and append only, which means you can only add information to the previous one instead of changing it directly. So you can imagine blocks of information are being added like this. This is an auditable database, which means it has a ledger, a large spreadsheet that records every data manipulation. Different from a database running by a central administrator where only the administrator can view the records of the data. In blockchain, every user owns the same ledger that has all the records relative to the database. This means the blockchain could ensure both decentralization and transparency. A key thing in blockchain is to unify the ledgers because different people have different ways to record the updates of the database. Here, the consensus is secured via a special cryptography. I won't go deep into the technical things, but the result is that the first person that resolves a math puzzle will be the block proposer, which means his record will be adopted by all the others. Then everyone's ledger will be the same. Besides this, there are other ways that cryptography helps to secure the blockchain. These techniques together ensure that the blockchain is immutable. So in short, the technology of blockchain creates a trustworthy system to conduct interpersonal interactions without the supervision of a third party. To better understand how blockchain is used in real world, we could have a look at its most famous application, Bitcoin. Bitcoin was invented as a system of decentralized currency in 2009. Different from transactions verified by a centralized authority like a bank, in Bitcoin, there is no third party involved. All the transactions of the digital currency are verified using the blockchain. As we mentioned before, the blockchain could be used to record any type of information. In Bitcoin, the data recorded on the ledger are transaction information like senders, receivers, and amount of Bitcoins. One important layer that is added upon the blockchain in Bitcoin is the creation of a form of token, which is called Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not only used for trade, but also acts as a way to incentivize the block proposer we mentioned before to reward their contributions. So tokens here are really important. Digital transactions are indeed a kind of consensus. If I give you a certain amount of money, that money should be removed from my wallet and added into yours, right? So it's like a contract. Since the invention of Bitcoin, people have started to think about, are there any other centralized social contract that would better perform with decentralization? The development of blockchain has made all these ideas possible. Ethereum was first proposed in late 2013. It is something like the Bitcoin system, but more than that, it is a DIY platform for any decentralized program. If you want to create a decentralized application, or we can call it STEP, all you need to do is to design the contract for a collective events you're interested in and code them in the Ethereum programming language called Solidity. The contract you design has a name called smart contract because once it is deployed on Ethereum, it will be immutably executed by the decentralized computer network without the third party's supervision. The token to incentivize the Ethereum network is called Ether. If you want to run your dApp on the Ethereum platform, you have to pay some gas fee because transactions in your dApp require computational resources offered by the platform. You can also create your own token within your dApp. With this token, members in your debt program could engage in token-based voting to improve the smart contract and other aspects of the program. Of course, the more token you own, the more votes you typically will have. Therefore, besides the functions we mentioned before, token here also has a utility function and a governance function. These functions are really important for a decentralized system. Since the invention of Ethereum, blockchain technology has been used for diverse fields. Due to time limitation, I'm not going to go deep into them, but these use cases are a great example to prove the feasibility of decentralization in our daily life. To wrap up a little bit here, why does decentralization matter? It increases the motivation for citizens to take interest in public affairs. It builds trust without centralized authority, and it offers a way for citizens to vote and make their own consensus. Therefore, we think decentralization could help to involve every stakeholders into the decision-making process. To hear, based on all the idea we discussed before, we could probably propose an answer to this question: how to promote individuals' pro-sustainability behavior. This is our proposed mechanism. We could use the incentive policy to reward the pro-sustainability behaviors or tax the opposite one. The design of the incentive policy will involve every stakeholder and will be decided with the help of the decentralization through voting and contracting. Together with incentive policy and decentralization, we believe a sustainable goal like the reduction of carbon emission could be better achieved. Next, one of our organizers, Chen Liang, will guide us to explore a specific scenario where we could explore this mechanism more. I will give my mic to Chen Liang.
Well, thank you, Lingyu. I'll share my screen. Can everyone see it?
We don't see it quite yet. Now we see it. Now it looks good.
Okay, great. So the next 35 minutes will be part 2, the game time. So this game is trying to simulate a decentralized incentive mechanism to reduce carbon emission from daily travels of different residents in one community. We created a token called City Carbon Coin, which will be rewarded to residents who have reduced carbon emission by changing traveling mode every week. So we have 5 steps in this part. In the first step, I will briefly introduce the game. From the second step, we will send everyone to different breakout rooms. In each breakout room, there will be one of our mentors leading everyone to do ice breaking, play the game, and discuss. Finally, everyone will return back to the main room, and I will do a quick wrap up for part 2. Okay, let's begin. I'll start with the introduction. As Ningyu just mentioned in the first part, our goal is trying to build more sustainable communities by the incentive policy based on decentralization. In this mechanism, what makes both rewards and voting work is token. But what does token mean in our case? To answer this question, we need to first explain fiat currency and cryptocurrency. Fiat currency is often established as money regulated by the government. You can simply understand it as the money we use in daily life. Cryptocurrency is a transaction medium that uses cryptographic principles to ensure transaction security and control the creation of transaction units. Some of the popular cryptocurrencies include Bitcoin, Ether, and ADA. And as I mentioned in the beginning, we created a city carbon coin as our cryptocurrency. Although there is a difference between crypto coins and tokens. For convenience, we just use tokens to refer both of these two ideas. Besides, we use US dollars as our fiat currency to measure the price of token. Then let's move to the game itself. Just to clarify, for this time, we use Google Spreadsheet as the tool to play the game. But the logic can be implemented as smart contract on blockchain in the future. There are lots of information in this table, and we will explain more in the breakout rooms. But for now, I just want to remind you that when you are in the game, you only need to edit input cells in pink, and the system will automatically calculate the values of output cells in blue. The game will begin with round 0 to initiate all the input data. Then in following steps, participants need to change the traveling mode and vote to make incentive policy together. For those residents reducing a lot of carbon emission, they will get rewarded and have more power of speech when voting in the next round. The game will iterate 1 plus 2 rounds in total. Next, I will introduce each component one by one. First is the initiation of the game, which is round 0. Every player needs to choose one persona. There are 10 personas with different occupations, ages, and incomes. I will briefly introduce all of them, but you can also find more detailed information in the spreadsheet. P1 is the CEO of a startup who goes to various places in a short time during the day. P2 is a financial consultant who has lots of overtime working and socializing. P3 is a graduate designer who just graduated from college and often work late until there is no bus service. P4 is a local shop owner who is often need driving to order and deliver. P5 is a doctor who is very busy and sometimes needs night shift. P6 is a general manager of a public company who has lots of business trips and has meetings across the country. P7 is a college faculty who live close to campus and has flexible schedule. P8 is a real estate agent who often takes customers to different residences. P9 is a software engineer who has lots of overtime working, but is very simple and regular life. P10 is a civil servant who is rarely work overtime and has very regular work-life balance. So the purpose of setting these personas is that we want everyone to have more sense of the situation, which means when you are in the game, you need to behave as similar as possible to these people in real life. Okay, after we choose the persona, we entered round 1, starting with changing travel mode. In round 1 and 2, we need to change your car travel distance and bus travel distance. Although you can keep the same every round if you want. But remember that the key point is, since taking car has more carbon emission per person than taking bus, those people who take more buses might have more chance to get rewards. However, we still want everyone to keep a balance between sustainability and efficiency. For example, your persona might really need to save time in traveling. And although transferring from car to bus is good for environment, it will also cost you a lot of time. In this case, you might need to think carefully about your decision in traveling mode. So again, please make yourself really become the person you choose. Let's take a look at how this part will be like in the game. So in this spreadsheet, you need to change the input cell in pink, which are car and bus travel distance. We also list the travel time and cost here to remind you of the efficiency. They won't affect your result, but you should pay some attention when you are inputting. Once you finish inputs, you will see how much carbon emissions you have in this round, and compared to last round, how much carbon emission you have changed. If the change value is negative, it means you reduce your carbon emission in this round. Then it's the voting part. In this part, we are trying to invent a decentralizing voting method. The objects of voting are two coefficients, U and V. U is deciding how much percent of carbon emission will be charged for tax, and V is deciding in what proportions everyone divides tokens. So when residents are voting for incentive policy, everyone gives a pair of values for U and V, which are both between 0 and 1. Then the system will calculate weighted arithmetic means for both U and V, and the results will be the group values for U and V. Consider everyone has got different tokens from last round, which are from T1 to T10. So these tokens will be the weights for the mean. Now, if you're still confused, it's fine. I will go back to this step again. These two plots are showing how values of U and V affect tokens and carbon taxes. In the left, we can see that the more emission you reduce, the more chance you will have to get more tokens. And if you compare different values of U, the tendencies are different. Likewise, in the right, the more emissions you have, the more taxes you need to pay. And different values of V have different slopes. From the two plots, the key point to win the game is that if you feel like your travel mode is sustainable in this round, you might want larger U and V values, and vice versa. Also, if we take a look at this part in the spreadsheet, we can find that participants will give different U and V as their votes, and the outputs are the group U and V values. Finally, we come to the last component, which is about how to charge carbon tax for each one, exchange the value for taxes to tokens, and distribute tokens to everyone. So as we mentioned before, how much carbon taxes a residents need to pay depend on carbon emissions of these residents and the V values of the group. Then we need to figure out the tokens price. In our case, every round there will be 1,000 tokens distributed to everyone. And the total price of 1,000 tokens equal to the total carbon taxes. So in this round, we can easily figure out the unit token price. Next, tokens will be distributed based on the carbon emission and the group U value decided by the community voting. So when these residents come to the next round, the tokens they have will become the voting weights, or you can say power of weight voting. So at the end of every round, you can see how much taxes you paid, how many tokens you have, and the tokens were exchanged to money, so there should be a net profit value for everyone. If the value is positive, it means this residents got rewarded of this round. So in our game, there will be 1 plus 2 rounds in total, and after round 2, the game will be ended. Great, that's all the introduction for the game. Now the meeting host will send everyone to different breakout rooms. If you're still not very clear about the logic and the process, don't worry. Our main tools will guide you to play the game step by step. Well, I'll see you everyone in 23 minutes. Everyone, how's
Hi,
everyone?
welcome back.
Hello.
Welcome everyone. How do you guys feel about the game? Do you guys enjoy it?
Complicated. It is so complicated. I think that you should, based on the the financial report, S and the W as model is better than understanding.
Good to hear that. How about others?
I
had
think
fun.
oh,
Yeah, it was hard to understand, like based on the persona that you were playing, what you needed certain things. So you couldn't make always huge changes. You had to consider a lot. So even if you wanted a better performance, I felt like you couldn't always have it. So that was interesting.
Okay, awesome. So I'm glad to find like many of you have fun in this part. And although it's hard to understand some technical parts, but I guess the point is that we want to complete like we want to this decentralized voting systems for like an incentive rewarding, and in order to realize the sustainability goal. So as I mentioned before, this game is just like a begin point. So we use Google Shift for this time, but we will like move to smart contract in blockchain in the future. And also we want to promote this method from this transportation system to some other scenarios. So in next part, my teammate Jiwen will get everyone to have some more diverse exploration and discussion. Okay, let's welcome Jiwen.
Okay. Hi guys. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Looks good.
yeah.
Okay, so in the previous part, we have already tried out how decentralized incentive policy works. and actually seeing how the manipulation of different coefficients can affect your behaviors. So in today's last part, we would like to encourage everyone to initiate your own policy. And don't be so scared. We have also prepared some tools for you to start with. And I don't know whether everyone has been clear about what we are doing just now. This is actually a summary of the incentive policy we just played with. So we just quickly go through it first. Here is the topic and the issue we discussed. So transportation is actually only one of the aspects that contributes to carbon emission. In the coming part, we will discuss living, consumption, energy, blah, blah, blah. And in that game, we actually use a decentralized incentive policy to encourage people to walk more, cycle more, and use more public transportation to reduce your carbon emission. And then after identify that issue you want to discuss, we need to relate that issues to behaviors, namely what behaviors or participants are involved in dealing with the issue. So in that case, the behaviors we are talking about are use public transportation, drive private cars, and travel in modes with no carbon emission. And then after getting that behaviors, we need to find ways to quantify them. For example, in the game, we collect personal travel distance data as basis for the carbon emission. And these personal data can be collected by local-based LBS apps. And then finally is the decentralized part, which is maybe the hardest part for the game, like the part we voting for the coefficient. We have already voted for the token and tax distribution coefficient based on our own weekly performance. And we have also seen that if you have more tokens, you actually have a higher voting power in making the decision. And also the tax will potentially be used for public transportation maintenance. So in conclusion, what I have been showing here are actually the basics we think we can discuss when you initiate one incentive policy. So in the coming part, you will go to breakout room again and initiate your own incentive policy for a given topic. And we look forward to your ideas. So the discussion will be around 18 minutes, and I will see you back after 18 minutes. Back, everyone. I hope you have finished your discussion just now. And now we will quickly go through each group to share your topics because every group actually have a different topic. So I will start with my group. Our group topic is waste, and we want to use the incentive policy to encourage people to generate fewer waste and participate in waste sorting. So we identified a few of behaviors. First, it definitely whether or not you are actually participate in waste sorting. And secondly is the amount of waste you generate every week or every month. And also we are thinking about the buying behavior, like are you buying the goods with less carbon footprint naturally, like they are local or they have disposable, they have environmentally friendly packages, and also the amount, whether you are overbuying, and maybe for the overbuying part, you can share it instead of you just throw it away to rubbish bin. And to track all the data for them, we actually need a trash can with computer vision and also maybe a smart weight. And some of our group mates mentioned the trash camera in MIT, which can we can lively see whether there is some some food can be shared to others. So, and also I need to identify different size of the volumes of the packages to see whether you are participant in the sorting and how much waste you have generated. So for the decentralized part, we thought about the token and tax. So the tax, because the management of different wastes actually contribute to different amounts of carbon emissions. So the tax should also be differently allocated. And also, we want to incentivize people who are participate in waste sorting, so they will get rewarded. And I think some interesting part for the token and tax usage is that for the token, we mentioned instead of only being the voting power, you actually can use that for your energy bills or for the overall waste treatment. And for the tax, because although we are encouraging people to buy in more sustainable food, but they actually cost a lot. So maybe the tax can use for as a compensation for the cost of sustainable food. So people who with lower income, they can still make such choices. And that what we have been discussing for the incentive policy of tackling the waste problem. And I will go through the groups.
Yeah,
Council?
we're group B, and we talk about the topic of dealing with extensive usage of the disposable packaging and tablewares in delivery. And I actually would like to invite Jackson, who share a lot of value, just amazing insights during the discussion. Who think I think he thinks that it is very hard to avoid people to use disposable packaging. Instead of that, we could spend more efforts on invent the newest material for the packaging. And also, I think he mentioned the importance of tax. So, Jackson, are you here? Would you like to share some of your thoughts?
Say, the
Yeah.
the the pen the big fine and will be the reduce the crime crime so I suggest the for the actually you were using a good word is the impact and the benefit. I think we just want to reduce the impact and increase the benefit. This is like the the for this kind of regarding the regarding the consumption. I think this is just like the balance sheet for the financial report. So the because the consumer they create no matter the under the the purchasing behavior or the uh, the corporate the interest to making the money, but they have to return in the world, right? So I mean this is kind of token in that text. The design is good, but how you implement. So I don't know the once that you are making the research study, did you make the some of the population scenario study? Like you say, the no low income, they may be using the uh, more the the outside the packaging, but it is might be different because that the low income, they may be eat eat food at home and all the carry the the lunch box. So it seems like the similar like the recycle the approach. So they just clean the lunch box and the use again. So a lot of the scenario we should consider. It is upon the depends upon the the what the scenario you are looking the the reality. So population
I'm sorry.
category is very
I
important for this study. So we can
sorry.
focus. We can make some of the focus group to re, to influence this focus group to reduce the consumption, the waste consumption. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you for your thoughts. It's very thought-provoking. You raised a lot of perspectives we have ignored. And yes, but the time is limited. Maybe next time you should give us like more information on what you thought. And
You're welcome.
Yes, sorry, we only have 4 minutes left. So maybe for the last two groups, can the mentor just use a few sentences to conclude your insights? And we will email all the participants this board to you. So if you want to know more, you can check your email later. And for Chen Liang, can you just quickly summarize in 30 minutes?
Yeah, our group C talk about the AC's usage, like which part of AC usage could be making incentives. We think that for store owners, set AC at a moderate temperature and open AC on necessary days could be considered as some incentive behaviors. And the data related to this part is that the temperature data of AC and the operation hours of AC. So for the policy making, we think about store owners and consumers could make incentive policies together. They can vote for AC indoor temperature range and vote for the AC open days. And also they could vote for the tax coefficient, like we talk about in the transportation situation. So and for this, for those store owners, if they got a lot of tokens, those tokens could be used for energy credit, and also those tokens the store owners get could be used the local recommendation, and which is also good for those stores to attract more consumers. And if like these store owners get charged some taxes, so this tax could be used to have more like sensor maintainers. Yeah, that's our group C's topic.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I can't comment now. And for the last group, 志远、佳姐, can you quickly sharing? Oh my.
Yeah, sure. We discussed the operation of the lift, and for the behaviors, we would like to track how the lift users use the lift, their wait time, their usage, how many numbers of floors they lift up, and like whether they consolidate several lifts in one time, like whether they use the lift in a necessary way. And for the property manager, we care about how they operate the lift, and maybe they can operate the lift conditionally and on different days, like weekends or work days, and maybe in different hours in a day, and track the quantified data like energy consumption and travel distance and the speed of the elevator, and to design the incentive policy. Due to the time, we didn't discuss too much about this part, but I think some ideas is to inspiring, like we talked about how to use the mobile signal data and like implement some probe to capture the MAC address of the people, whether they go upstairs or use the lift to capture the data and use it to calculate the tokens and taxes. And of course, this is related to some privacy issues, but I think it's still inspiring.
Okay, thank you. So, I will just, because that time is up, so I will just quickly give us a wrap up of today's. So we have already gone through part one, the presentation about background knowledge, and then the game about how incentive policy works. And also we try to initiate your own incentive policy, understand different parts of it. But what we want to emphasize here is what we do now is we don't want to make you think it's only a utopian vision. We actually are doing it. We try to initiate the incentive policy system together, the Shanghai team and also team from MIT. So what we are doing just now is from the user side, like the residents, how you can manipulate it. But to be the actual implementation, we need to involve more stakeholders, like the government, professional, NGO, funds, or investors, because there are different parts, like that you need to establish the platform for operation. You also need infrastructure to support the changes, like you need public transportation, you need the smart trash bin, etc. So these are all the realization part we need to consider. And then, oh, Then also, we will, as the researchers, we will build the system. We will build our own decentralized autonomous organization to really run the system. That's the platform for the future work. And it will be on blockchain with a smart contract to define the rules and hold the group's treasury. And so, so if you are interested in this field, like interested in decentralized incentive policy or interested in sustainability in cities, you can join us by participating in our pilot system in the coming future, maybe within several months. And if you are in Boston or Shanghai, or if you want to initiate your own local system, you can contact us. We will give you our technical toolkit and also our experience of communications for your establishment. So yes, that's all for today. Thank you.